Okay, welcome to a new edition of Indian Indigenization Appreciation Hour, and I'm happy to see that a lot of you have already tuned in. Let me get down to the questions, but let me say something. Please do support Indigenization Appreciation Hour as you've done in the past. Right now, the best way to support us would be to pre-order my new book. Sharing the link here, right? Those who cannot or do not want to pre-order, I would still suggest that do help spread the word. Send the link to people who you think might be interested in the book. Spread the word wherever you can. And those who can and those who do want to contribute to DDR, they can instead just buy a copy of the book at the moment. So that's what we are doing. Anyway, let's get down to the questions. Shitish Kumar asks, is something coming out about Tejas Mark II this month? Let's see. But I can tell you one thing. It doesn't matter if there is a rollout this month or in the months, in December or by December 2022. The fact is, the first flight can only take of the first prototype can take place only in 2023, and the program still doesn't have full sanction. The initial prototyping, that is the first prototype, has been fabricated using residual funds from LCA, full scale engineering design phase 2 and 3. And that is where we are at. Full sanction needs to be accorded to the Tejas Mark II without any further delay. Most wanted us. Why can we not incrementally increase the size of the Ghatak bomber until it becomes the size of the B2 Spirit? Why non-stealthy Tu-160? We can always use 4 into final Kaveri engines in that bigger Ghatak. As you can see, we even on the Swift demonstrator, we haven't yet lost the vertical stabilizer. You see, these are, although I'm not an aerospace engineer, but I can tell you one thing: scaling up a flying wing design is not that simple. There are many the you don't retain the characteristics, the precise characteristics of the smaller demonstrator airframe. There's a lot of work that goes into actually stabilizing the larger version of whatever you first tested in a scaled down manner. Your characteristics can change, many things can happen. It's not so simple. And also, your Kaveri engines have not yet stabilized completely. First, let roll out the Ghatak, build that in numbers, mature the technologies, the stealth technologies, the what do you call that? The telemetry technologies involved, stabilize the sensor technologies involved, because you will have to have load bearing arrays, you will have to have, basically flush sensors, things like that for VLO. The Ghatak is meant to be a VLO, very low observable platform. And then you can move into making something like the B2 Spirit, but you have to make something better than the B2 Spirit for it to be survivable. Tu-160 is not supposed to act as a penetrating bomber. A penetrating stealth bomber has a very different role from what the Tu-160 has now. Now somebody say, why not just use a Tu-95 then? A Tu-95 is much less survivable than even a Tu-160. Tu-160 with its upgraded electronics, because the one, if it is brought in, it'll be a new production Tu-160 that will be brought in. And the Russians intend to produce some 50 of them for their own air force. So we'll modernize avionics, EW suite and all that. That will be more survivable, and that will be used as a cruise missile. Because you see, with the Tu-160, you will be able to approach Chinese airspace from all kinds of directions because of its tremendous range. And that will present a new problem for the Chinese. That is the real, and then you can use it in the Indian Ocean region as well. Mostly be used in the nuclear delivery role if it is brought in. But its role is very different from that of a penetrating stealth bomber, like say the B-21 Raider, which is being developed. Okay, Pranav asks, why buy the Tu-160? We'll probably be leasing it and not buying it if we do get it. Won't we get hammered with sanctions? No. America can't afford to hammer India with sanctions. There's too much at stake. The entire, the long game that they have played in India will come unstuck in a second. So it's not like we are going to get hammered by sanctions just like that. Osler, how do Pinakas stack up? I've heard the reload time is much higher than HIMARS. What is the reload time of the HIMARS? How many Smudge do we have? How many short-range TBMs and BrahMos do we have? Well, I won't go into short range TBMs and BrahMos. In the press it's been reported we are raising a fifth regiment for the army. Then there are some with the air force. Then there are BrahMos with the navy. So make up your mind. As far as the Pinaka is concerned, the Pinaka's loader cum replenishment vehicle also uses a podded. The Pinaka is a podded system, okay? And even in the initial Pinaka days, the reload time was nothing more than 15 minutes. And that has come down considerably by now. So it's not like, the Pinaka is just going to sit around there getting reloaded forever, waiting for counter battery fire to come. It's not going to be like that. How many smirch do we have? Take a look at CIPRI data. That's closer to how many smirch we have. Won't give exact numbers. Okay. Pranav is asking, is editor at Delhi Defense Review a good place to get in touch with you? I run a startup and would like to speak with you possible. You can send a mail to geekatlarge1618@gmail.com. I think I've shared that ID also. Okay, Bivash is asking, can wings of Tejas Mark II balance proportion its fuel so that the center of gravity doesn't shift? Again, I'm not an aerodynamicist or an aerospace engineer, but I can tell you that we have a detailed article on DDR on some of these issues where the centerline fuel tank is that it's been crafted in such a way that it's actually going to be better, more maneuverable than the Mark 1, right? And it's also going to be faster than the Mark 1 better in terms of transonic acceleration, rate of climb, etc. Krish, what's your opinion about the recent photo of the wind tunnel model of the MCA? Well, it is a wind tunnel model. People are saying that IRST sensor would mess up the stealth profile. That is what they said about the Su-57 also. Right? I thought they were going for a DAS system with DOTS. Wait and watch what happens. See what the final iteration looks like. Okay, Raj says, hi. When will Astra Mark II and Mark III be ready for production? Astra Mark II should be ready for production in less than 1.5 years. Astra Mark III will take a little longer. Pranav, why are we not going for an indigenous conventional sub at this point with all the nonsense 75? I know, well, there are many reasons, several reasons. But they're still not confident about being able to, basically optimize the form and fit for a modern diesel diesel electric SSK, basically diesel electric submarine, and they still want foreign consultancy support for it. Okay, SPK, is the AMC on track for rollout by 2024? An IE article cited a HAL official saying that rollout will happen 6 years after CCS approval. That is the HAL's rollout, but ADA rollout will happen in 2024 only. Okay, and not by 2030. He's talking more in terms of production. You see, when Indian officials, they don't keep up with all the jargon. When you say rollout, they may think it's production, they may think it's something else. And unfortunately, most Indian defense journalists don't have the bandwidth to understand their jargonese, basically Indian official jargonese. They just take something and run with it. Okay, any updates on hypersonic missiles? You're going to see the Zircon equivalent sooner than later, and you're also going to see a hypersonic glide vehicle. Okay. Pranav, I've answered a few of your questions already, so I'm going to go to some other people. I'll come back to you if we have time. Aditya Prakash, hi Saurav, when can we see the first DRDO AIP retrofitted onto a Kalvari sub? During the first refit, which should happen in the mid-2020s. Also, does an invasion of Taiwan look imminent given the Chinese rhetoric and videos of Chinese asset mobilization? If something, it could happen that something goes amiss and the best laid plans of the Chinese to posture actually goes into a conflagration. That could happen, but they're already withdrawing units because you see their sustenance is not as high as they pretended it was. But yes, if they keep on this tempo, then something can suddenly happen, because that is also a strategy that is sometimes used, where you keep you keep up the tempo of operations through exercises to wear down the enemy and then strike. Okay, AB says Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, obviously to you as well. Okay, I've shared the link here. So whoever wants to contribute to DDR can instead buy a copy of Negotiating the Next New Normal, my new book. See, this way you get the book also. So you're getting something back from us as well. This is for the time being. Okay. Abhijit Sharma asks, please provide updates regarding Tejas Mark II on Oculus 15 and please do detailed comparison of radar capabilities with J10C or Gripen. Okay, we'll make a video. But as far as this rollout on August 15 is concerned, let's see. Aditya Prakash, can you kindly share a bit about your book? Well, yes, this book is a labor of love. I've written it over 6.5 years almost and through 3 drafts because I wanted to capture. See, the most books written about the Indian economy and about India's progress and geostrategy is India centric. Instead, in this book, what I've done is I've looked at the 4 main economic centers of the world. That is the United States, the European Union, China and Russia, China and Japan, and I have traced their travails, their strategies, their geo-economic strategies, and then I have come to an entire long section on India. Of course, India features in the earlier part of the text as well. So basically, I am saying what the world looks like and what India's place is in it, and what India can do now, given the trends of the day. And the trends are not that new. What the pandemic has done is to basically accelerate the trends which had already set in with the global financial crisis of 2008. That is also something I've depicted in the book. So basically, the book answers questions such as, whether the yuan will be able to replace the dollar, no. The euro, whether it can again rise to be a competitor to the dollar, no. Will the eurozone be around, no. What the eurozone strategy is and whether, what India can gain from it. And in fact, one of the main things I say is the Euro, EU, and many of the things I've said in the book are already coming to pass. For instance, in the first chapter, I predicted that there would be a US recession in this year. It'll have to happen, and then you will move out of this kind of stagflationary situation, and inflation will again go down, and you will slowly return to that low growth, low inflation that you've seen post GFC. And I think the transition to that is already underway. US inflation CPI numbers are already lower than what the consensus was amongst economists. And you will see it go even lower in the next 6 months. Right? And so the first chapter ends with that. It predicts a US recession. The European chapter predicts that, the Europeans are going to become much more assertive in the Indo-Pacific, which is what you're seeing, and that'll open up opportunities for India. Then there's the BRICS chapter. It details how BRI was already in trouble, and the pandemic has put paid to what BRI then. So this is what the book is about. The book basically shows that we are heading towards a more multipolar world, that the main centers, power centers, are in decline and in relative decline to each other also, and that gives India an opportunity. And so then I head into what India can do, what are the kind of relationships it should be focusing on, what it has to do internally on the economic front, so on and so forth, what kind of relation should be maintained between the RBI and the government. It goes into all these details and it gives explanations as well. So it's not so many of the things that you read about, like we need a low level rate of inflation that is neither too high but not too low either. Why do people say that? This book explains why that is said. So these are the sort of things which are there. If you read it, you will find it useful for sure. You'll be able to, it will help you understand this world better that we are in. Okay, next question. Shoptoshi DG asks, your thought on new Bombers Corner, is it really happening? Please confirm. It is being talked about, certainly. Whether it will happen or not, we'll have to see. It'll be a lease effort, I think. Okay, Abhitav. Will Tejas Mark II roll out on 15th August? Let's see what happens. If it does, then good. Kuntal Biswas, are we going to... Okay, I've answered this question already. Warriors Call. Okay, Abhinav, will AMC and Mark I have an internal weapons bay? Yes, it will. Warriors Call. Why so much fuss about Tu-160? Do we really need them, considering we are low on Scotland's? That's exactly why we need them. We need to free up tactical space, tactical aircraft. And we need to have something for the nuclear delivery role that can carry a lot of tonnage. Jeffrey Rowan asks, congrats on the books. I just picked up the book myself. Thank you for that. I hope you like reading it. Do you have any insight on the Tu-160 deal or the ceremonial use of ATACs but lack of orders? But that 150 ATACs order will happen now. That is exactly why it is being given this pride of place during August 15. Remember something, anything that sort of features close to the Prime Minister means that it has been given the go-ahead. Before the Arjun Mark I order was given officially, what you saw was the Prime Minister had this moment on an Arjun Mark I tank he took a bit of a ride on it. So that's given. Before the 83 Mark 1A Tejas order, you will find that the Prime Minister said during his independence speech, "कि हमारा तेजस भी अब तेज दिखाने के लिए तैयार है." Something to that, words to that effect, basically. And then you had that order coming in. So ATAGs, you will see the 150 unit order being placed very soon. Okay, next question. Suman Chatterjee asks, ATAGs update, I just gave it. And the numbers are supposed to go up to as high as 1800. Pranav, pre-ordered your book, by the way. Thank you for it. I do hope you like reading it. Sai Venkat Reddy, can we convert Tejas IOC to Mark 1A? Yeah, Tejas IOC, more or less, yes. More or less, you can definitely add the self-protection jammer. And in any case, the IOC ones many of them have already been upgraded to FOC standard. Nobody's talking about it, but it's already happening. The software plugs have already been sent. Ported from the FOC to the IOC units. Gaurav Chakraborty. Particularly worried about Arunachal sector. China will fire thousands of missiles. They don't have thousands of missiles even with the BP-12M, which is basically an MLRS system, or the new one that they use, the so-called 500-kilometer range thing. They still don't have thousands. And the DF-15B is not as accurate as people think it is. They may one day, if they keep giving priority to this, they may end up having maybe 3,000, 4,000, maybe even 5,000 missiles to deploy against India. But they are still not there yet. Okay. But the Russians fired more than 2,200 surface-to-surface and air-to-surface missiles into the Ukraine. Could they get what they want? Not so simple. And Chinese missiles, their reliability may sometimes, in some cases, even more suspect. Okay. But yes, it is a matter of concern and we have to match it. We have to match them at some level. Saptarshi Chandra, Dada, do you know? Saptarshi Chandra asked, where is that question again? Do you know if CAT's Warrior prototype has been built? Yeah, prototype has been built. You will see ground runs and you will see first flight also. Sai Venkat Reddy, why ISRO is failing recently, especially after the Galwan incident sabotage. I have also sometimes thought about this whole thing about telemetry failing, data links failing, ransomware being found on ISRO servers. But I don't want to speculate unnecessarily. But yes, I am also concerned about it. Rishabh Gupta, hey bro, I'm all right. With your support, I'll be better. Most wanted, thanks sir for the answer. All right. Subodh Deshpande asks, what do you think about Project Vishnu? Let's not comment on this right now. Let things mature a little more. Abhijit Sharma, your thoughts after looking at the wind testing model AMC IRST exposed gun refueling probe? It's a wind tunnel model. Don't take it so seriously. It's being used to test a few things. See what ultimately comes out of it. Right. Okay, somebody just contributed 400. I would say that, instead of contributing today, in today's episode and for the next month or so, you can just buy a copy of my book. You can buy the Kindle version, which is much cheaper than the hardcover version. If you have Kindle, you can read it. Because, okay, one more thing. Some people were a little upset that this book has been priced at whatever, $6.99, all that. First of all, it's not my doing. As an author, I would never want my book to be priced high. Let's be clear about that. Now, as far as the publishers are concerned, you have to understand that the cost of paper has risen by 250% in the last 2 years. Okay, they're really struggling. They also don't want to price books high per se. The cost of printing has gone up immensely. In fact, on this book, I don't think the publisher is making that much of a margin even at $6.99, because it's going to be hardcover and 424 pages. So you have to understand the economics of the publishing industry a little bit. Having said that, those of you, I quite understand, many of you are students and etc. and may not be able to afford the book, which is fine. But do spread the word. Maybe 2 or 3 of you can get it together. Maybe later on, maybe you can buy the Kindle version if you already have a Kindle. Let's see how it goes. Maybe we'll run a competition at some point in maybe a month's time or 2 months' time, where we might give some giveaways as well. So those are on the anvil. Get your library to order it if you have, if you're part of an institution. Right. So let's go to the next questions. Okay, we have a question here. Avij Sharma is asking your thoughts. Adi Sura is asking. There was some news on the Tejas Mark II prototype being out by 15 August. Is that possible? I am still skeptical of it, okay? Because I did talk to Ada some months ago and it did not seem like that. So, but if it comes out, great. VK Cool One. What are your views about UAP UFO topic gaining serious grounds in the US Congress? This is also something that I've actually been mulling about. And not just US Congress. Why has the US, why is the CIA, why is the CIA and the US, the Pentagon, basically releasing these videos again and then validating them? They were released once before in that conspiracy website, which used to be very popular, maybe it still is, abovetopsecret.com in 2005. So they are not new, but they were brought back into circulation deliberately and given a lot of visibility via New York Times and places like that. So really something that I find a little surprising. What exactly they are playing at, I don't know. Some people dismiss it out of hand as propaganda. There are others who are not quite so sanguine. This is something that I'll have to think about more and look into more before I can say something which is more than what I am saying at the moment. Shashanka Kashyapa, they just, oh God, no, I've answered this question already. Inquisitors of India, do you think a USAF Rapid Dragon type concept can be beneficial for IF with regards to China's deep assets in tar and Exa? Don't be surprised if you see that under development. By Rapid Dragon, I'm assuming you're referring to palletized weapon deployment, right, from transport aircraft. So yes, so we are also working on stuff like that. You will see that. You will see that coming to the fore in this decade. But that doesn't mean that there won't be proponents of the Tu-160. There'll still be proponents of the Tu-160. Do you think do I think we should get a Tu-160? I don't know. It depends on what the Russians are willing to give otherwise. I mean, we can't just keep giving CBMs to their military industrial complex. We have to get what we want in return. Okay, Surya Namankar, when will Project 76 start? I think the beginnings are already underway. This renaming of DND to Naval Warship Design Group is a big indicator of that. Raj, Chinese have 350-kilometer range artillery while we have just 100-kilometer Pinaka. We don't have 100-kilometer Pinaka. We have 75-kilometer to 90-kilometer range Pinaka. We have a Pinaka, guided Pinaka ER, which is going to be 120. And then we are going to have 250 to 300-kilometer range Pinaka variants also. And we have the Pranash, which is going to be 250-kilometer. We have the Pralay, which is 500. Are we developing long-range artillery rockets? I just answered your question. Yes, we are. And the ones fired from the MLRS that has a 450 or 500-kilometer range, the latest ones which were tested, those are not artillery rockets really. Those are ballistic, short-range ballistic missiles in the Prism class. Basically, ATACMs, the follow-on to the ATACMs. That is what they are like. So Chinese have had them and we also have them. The Pralay is that only, and so is the Pranash. We need to build them in numbers. Look, if we are serious, we should build the Pranash in thousands and the Pralay in at least the high hundreds, okay? If not over 1,000. Next question. Suryas Chaudhary, what's the development for APG-81 F-35 radar for AMCA? Well underway. Mission mode project. And other sensor suit like DAS EOTS also being done. What type of HMD we are looking for AMCA similar to F-35 type? Yes, contemporary HMD. The HUD, the HMD, all those things. I mean the HMD and the wide angle displays and all that, they are going to be absolutely top class on the AMC. Even on the Tejas Mark II, they are going to be top class. Rishabh Gupta, can we give each PLA soldier 2 cents and send them back home? No, actually many of them have crossed over to our side. But we send them back home. We should not have sent them back home. We should have used them. Despite all the Chinese propaganda, that people aren't happy. Even PLA chaps cross over to our side looking to desert. It's just that we don't take them in. So that's another matter. Kiran Nagonde, how about no Indian soldier has deserted to the Chinese side? They have kidnapped people from sometimes and even murdered them. The scoundrels that they are. But our soldiers are not looking to go across the LAC unless they've been ordered to kick ass. Kiran Nagonde, how about Agni 6 and Merv? You'll see something. Desi fact. Sir, Tejas Mark II come in August. I've already answered this. SPK request. Please do write some articles about FICB, FRCB, and GMT in the future. We're going to do something better. We are taking our video guys are going to go to CBRT in September. We're going to do a program on the NGMBT from there. So that's what you get, and we'll write an article also. I actually have so many things to do, and in fact, I'll say one thing: if some of you are interested in writing for DDR, please do send a brief bio data and maybe a small sample of your work. Even a paragraph will do. Right? We can commission some of you to write for us also. Suryansh Chaudhary, what type of HMD are we looking in? And if you want to write a detailed paper, a proper academic paper on, say, data science or on military issues or even on economic issues, or geopolitical issues with a sort of data-driven approach, you can send submissions to us. We'll be happy to take a look. Okay, Suryansh Chaudhary, what type of HMD are we looking in AMCA scene? Similar to F-35 and without HUD? Maybe we can collaborate with Israel on that. With Elbit, you mean? Okay. Deadly Ninja. Why do we... Deadly Ninja goes here. Why do you see Indian Navy ranks so low by Navy fleet strength? Is government not focusing on Navy capabilities given we have very important Indian Ocean? Not that low. I think in terms of tonnage, we are quite high now. And see, we have what? We have 11 destroyers, we have 12 frigates, 23. We have 4 more frigate-sized corvettes. So that's 27. So you have basically 27 principal surface combatants. You have about 16 submarines. Not that small. It's not a small navy by any measure. It has to become bigger. Of course, also the Navy's tendency to order things in flights of only 3 or 4 also has a role to play in this. They don't want to standardize on one design and order many. Of course, the government has a big role to play in this as well. They have to agree to order, like the way they ordered 7 Nilgiri class, they should be ordering 7 new destroyers as well. What is called Project 18, Next Generation Destroyer, NGD, which is 6 are, I think, programmed as far as the maritime capability perspective plan is concerned. But you will see a much bigger Navy by the 2030s. Because I'll tell you why. Example. Even when you have the 3, you will have 3 more Project 15B joining the destroyer basically pool. And even if 3 Rajput class retire, you'll still have, basically the same number, 13. On top of that, if the NGD can be produced quickly, then by 2035 you should have 6 more of those. So you'll have 19 destroyers by 2035 because the Delhi class will not retire even then. Okay, with the current bunch of frigates, those will also stay until 2035, and you are definitely adding 11 to those 4 Talwars and 7 Nilgiris, so 23. So 23 plus 19 gives you 42, right? So you're going to see 42 sort of principal surface combatants. You add to that 6 next generation missile vessels, which are also 3,000 ton plus. Then next generation corvettes, which are also 3,000 ton plus. They are frigates basically, 8 and 6, 14. So you're going to see quite a few large surface combatants with missiles, both surface ship, anti-ship, and also surface to air missiles. Then you're going to see the submarine pool is more of a concern. So you're going to see a much larger navy in the future. Okay, let me go to the next questions. My God, it's already 8:15. VK cool, answered those. Okay, Shanda has on the grid. So after upgrades, will the Mi-26 survive be as capable as Chinooks in terms of availability and high altitude operation? It's already quite capable actually. Availability, let's see. Russian stuff, availability, okay, we'll see. Abhi, what is the path through which HAL can make MTA aircraft? The path is very simple. Just design an MTA and build in it. Maverick says you look like Rahul Gandhi. Somebody says I look like a Desi Elvis. Now you're saying I look like Rahul Gandhi. Okay, I don't know whether that's a compliment or not anyway. Jay Sharma, price of ATAGs. See the DSC council approval and back calculate. Of course, it involves other support equipment and some ammo as well. But you can make out from there. COP, are we really going for F-35? No. Abhishek Khanapure, Will Chinese spy ship dock in Hambantota? Let it dock and see what happens after that. Alex Dilaj, Nepal affirmed the one China policy today. How tragic, why, and how have we let our brethren in Nepal fall in the Chinese lap? That is a question for the Ministry of External Affairs and others to answer. Shadow Fury, are we inducting more ships of Iron Roof class? We might. Fusion Fein, do we need to jointly develop C-17 like strategic airlifter with France? Eventually, yes. What are you going to replace the Illusion 76 with? Sumit Arya, who's contributed 400, thank you. Hopefully, Tejas Mark II rollout forces hands of the government to release more funds for other prototypes. Keep up the good work, thank you. Hopefully, it does. Right, Sai Venkat Reddy, message retracted. Amazon link to my book, whoever is interested. And do use this to spread the word if you can. If you cannot buy the book for whatever reason, please at least spread the word about it. Unsing, are we developing air launch AGV? No. I think we are developing something which takes off from the ground with a booster. But in the future, maybe. Avinash Yelamurthy, is there any merit to the TU-160 purchase speculation? Yes. It's not a purchase, it's a leasing. And it's an old thing which is again being talked about. There is. But it's not a done deal, by the way. That is something I want to make clear. Delhi Deadly Ninja, update to Uttam Esa and its Mark II version. Uttam Esa project itself has been closed, okay, because it has been successfully completed. Follow-on projects are already underway. For Uttam Esa, for the Tejas Mark II, for the Tejas Mark 1A, Tejas Mark II, AMCA, versions of the Uttam, and the Su-30 MKI also. Those are underway in mission mode. Okay. So there are 4 different versions that will be, because it's a scalable array basically, with also power amplifier might also change a little bit and all that. Nirmal Malik, why don't you write a book on the Indian military and its capabilities, etc.? Would love to read that. Okay. So Dr. V.K. Saraswat and I have been writing a book on the history of India's the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. We are writing a book together. I'm going to submit the manuscript by the end of this year. It's a detailed book. It goes into the prehistory of our missile programs right till the modern day and shows what all goes into developing a military industrial complex and why we are a missile power today, and all the typical questions which are posed by various naysayers and others are answered in this book. So maybe, I know you guys would like reading that. But of course, do support this other book as well, because this book is also useful. And remember one thing, this book has also been written for India only. Whatever DDR does is basically for our country. That is the prime motivation. So this book has also been written for India, and this will also be an offering to India. This IAH is also an offering to India at the end of the day. Because one of the reasons why I'm doing an IAH is because I have also sensed that there is a major, push underway right now to fill the void that is going to result on account of the retreat of the Russian MIC from India. That void needs to be filled with indigenous products and indigenous developments, not with some new foreign MIC. And you know who I'm talking about. Which is why they're making a concerted push to basically belittle the Tejas effort, to say that the AMCA is thousands of years away, that the Tejas Mark II doesn't make any sense, and so on and so forth. And there's a concerted effort underway. And they are also saying nasty things about the Indian Air Force, which is not right, by the way. The Indian Air Force is supporting the Tejas Mark II and all. Yes, they want the MRFA. They have not made any, they have not tried to hide the fact. But they also need and want the Tejas Mark II. I have talked to them, and it is, the people who are going around saying that the Air Force doesn't want it online is not true. The people do want it. There is a matter of budgetary issues, but we have to keep pushing. We have to make sure that Tejas Mark II gets sanctioned and gets inducted. Okay, because it's a low risk, high value proposition. It's low risk. We have already licked the problems of the Tejas Mark 1A. But I want to make some things clear. There's some stupid think tank articles about, fix the Tejas. Tejas Mark 1 has already been fixed. There is no problem with the radar warning receiver. There is no problem with the, integrity of the fuel tanks. The fuel tanks are armored enough. There is no problem with the cockpit not being protected enough. There's no problem with it being a short-legged aircraft, because the in-flight refueling, it's in-flight refueling capable. There's no problem with the what kind of weapons you can offer with it, because you can offer a surfeit of weapons. Let's look at the weapons you can offer with the Tejas Mark 1 itself. You can offer the JDAM, you can offer the hammer, This is just foreign weapons. You can offer PP 500. You can offer Griffin. Acha, with the what PP 500 same. You can offer indigenous weapons. You'll put the BrahMos NG, Rudra Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, which are game changers, by the way. They are really contemporary anti-radiation missiles, and the Ukraine war is showing the need for such kinds of anti-radiation missiles which can attack emitters which are buried. That is what Rudra Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 are good for. You are going to see the Tejas Mark 1A armed with Astra Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, maybe even an Astra IR, so to speak. So you're looking at a gamut of weapons, whole bunch of weapons you can name. Then they are going to be armed with the LDP-41, which is an excellent laser designation pod. You're going to be armed with an SPJ, which is quite good, which is every bit as good as the next generation jammer of the US Navy. They don't know what they're talking about. All this nonsense was okay if they said it in 2000. It's not relevant anymore. Okay, next question. Agam Chadha, what can India give to Greece and Armenia to piss off Turkey? BrahMos NG, why not? Rishabh Gupta, progress on AK-203. When it comes out, then there'll also be a bit of fanfare about it. But it will happen because the rifle factory is located in Uttar Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh requires employment. Vikas P, which gun ATAGs marked Bharat Forge will use for development of MGS? ATAGs will feature on the truck. I think you've already seen a BML truck, which will be the carrier of the ATAGs. That will be the AMAGs, basically. I've been calling for an AMAGs for a long time. Looks like they're going to call it something like the AMAGs only, maybe. Gaurav Chakravarti, your view on current Indian ASW capability. What ASW capabilities do we need to acquire by 2035? Proper wide area, what is called wide area ASW. Our ASW is good because we use mostly indigenous sonars, which are the only ones that really work in the Indian Ocean region, which has a very problematic panorama, as it were, right? In terms of thermoclines, etc., etc. Which is why this talk of getting foreign ALTAs. Have you heard any more talk about the ALTAs? What is the real performance of the ALTAs? We'll have to find out. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying that let's see what it, maybe one day we'll get to know how it really performs in the Indian Ocean region. Okay. Next question is Gaurav Chakravarti. Okay, I've answered a few of yours. Let me come back. Saptarshi Chandra. Ajay, I'll answer this. Wikipedia says terminal velocity of Pralay is 1.6 Mach. Is it true? What can be the terminal velocity of an SRBM? Will it be Mach 5? Very few things remain hypersonic when entry, and definitely not an SRBM. So terminal velocity of SRBMs is way lower than than what you can expect from say even an IRBM. IRBM is 2 to 3 meter per kilometer per second re-entry. Terminal velocity is slightly lower than that. Okay. Saptarshi Chandra, there was an article about Navy ordering P-17B class frigates. Is there any truth to it? Let's see. There will be follow-ons, definitely. I told you the number of principal surface combatants will go up. 007YMM says, what's going on with ATGM integration with LCH? No mention anywhere, but okay, let me share something with you. Both from the Rudra and from the LCH, the Helena has been tested, by the way, in an operational environment from Rudra and LCH. So it's not like it's never been integrated or something. So what we need to do is we need to make a serious case for the Helena and get it inducted in the numbers that we need. Can't depend on Hellfires or PARS 3LR or some import. Agam Chadda, do we have any export order for ALH Mark 3? I'll have to check. There have been export ALH Mark 3. The Mark 3, I'll have to check that. And can HAL overcome its service problems given what happened to Ecuador, grounding its roof fleet way back in 2013? HAL today has a very different outlook. Why do you think the army is so happy with the Rudra? There are HAL teams embedded in operational areas. Okay. And that is going to be the case with whatever export HAL does also. This is something HAL has learned from the Americans. The Americans keep their customers happy by embedding teams. Of course, you have to keep an eye on them as to what they do over there. But the HAL has come a long way from its days past. And I think its rotary wing, RWRTC is a is a very capable sort of outfit. Okay, Sai Venkat Reddy. Read fortnight ago that Chinese UEFI kit, root kit found on Gigabyte and Asus motherboard. Shouldn't all the R&D institutions in India fear using them? Yes. Shouldn't we develop these items locally? We should. Absolutely. We have to. We have to move out of from China's electronic supply chain, boss. See, active, first passive items we should indigenize as soon as possible. Passive electronic components, and active components also we have to in the next 5 to 7 years. There's no option. Inquisitors of India. Is the Indian Navy still adamant for Sikh Raj and didn't ask the Navy? Suryansh Chaudhary. Okay, I've answered a bunch of your questions. Let me see what are the new ones. Raghav asked, Dhanush and ATACs the same 155mm tube artillery. Won't there be a problem with the induction of these guns? Like both will have the same role? Regarding a lookalike, etc. Regarding lookalike, who is your favorite actor? Achha. Okay, Dhanush and ATACs the same 150. No, there is no. It's actually ATACs is a much more capable system, and you are going to induct the ATACs in much higher numbers than the Dhanush. Dhanush is lighter, obviously. ATACs is an 18-ton behemoth. Dhanush is 12.5 tons or so. So in that sense, it has more strategic mobility and all that. And it's also cheaper to operate maybe. But ultimately, they are not competing with each other per se. Okay, regarding lookalike, who is your favorite actor? Favorite actor, okay. Favorite actor in Hindi cinema, in Bollywood basically, let me say. Hrithik Roshan was my favorite actor in this era. And but I used to like the actors of the 80s a lot. The sort of, and the films that used to be made in the 80s, late 70s and 80s. So in that era, all the people who used to act, I used to watch all of them. So that would be the thing. Inquisitors of India, Sukhoi upgrade update. But of course, as far as today's acting is concerned, I think Manoj Bajpayee, Pankaj Tripathi, these guys, they are like the Nasruddin Shahs, Farooq Sheikhs of this era. COP. Okay, Inquisitors of India. Sukhoi upgrade update. Update will happen, I told you, it will be a piecemeal update. Radar Indian, IRST Indian, DC, MAWS Indian, like that. Not in one shot. COP, your thoughts on Indian military doctor being kidnapped and later killed. What did Indian army do in there? That's the whole Galwan clash. Galwan clash was basically a back and forth to a degree. And I think the Chinese ultimately did not get the better of us there. Chandra, what is your assessment of B871 Alrosa, the one-of-a-kind pump jet kilo class submarine? Quieter, obviously, than even 636 EK, Project 636 class. Still quieter than that. Most wanted, sir, can we procure some AC-130 gunships and use them in heavily contested Naxal areas and insurgents fire? No point. Absolutely not. Don't use aircraft for coin inside India. Don't use aircraft for coin inside India. It makes no sense. Adisura, why has it been so hard for India to produce our own primary weapon? We did produce our own primary weapon. Just that people kept on taking a dump at it. What is the update on the AK-203 deal? AK-203 deal, I told you, it will happen. But when it happens, you will see a lot of photo ops around it. Okay. Sandeep Bhattacharya asks, hi Saurav, of late no news of Glcm and Akash NG. Any updates? Akash NG is completing development. Glcm has completed development, is in user trials at the moment. And I think user trials are going well. Vyuha, why doesn't HAL focus on FVL type future helicopter rather than developing IMRH? The case for this future vertilift kind of thing with slightly faster ingress, outgress, even faster, so-called greater range. The case for that and the amount of the incremental cost of that still doesn't make sense for India. Maybe one day it might, but let us see where the Americans get with the FVL program. Vikas Naik, hello sir. Hi to you as well. Plasmodium Vivax. IA must uplift their vehicle-mounted artillery soon. Pakistan bought GPS-guided Chinese artillery so cheaply. Yeah, but see how accurate it is. But I agree. Truck-mounted howitzers need to be inducted in short order by the IA. Okay, Kumar Mangolam Lamboria asks, any thoughts on this new Pioneer company and their capabilities for turbofan engines? It's just a news item. We'll have to see where it goes. Rishabh Gupta, do you think in future IF will add more squadron of Tejas Mark 1? Yeah, I think it will. But I think it will. Vinod Reddy, P-76 indigenous diesel submarine progress updates. I think preliminary work is already underway. Unsing is, but it's just, there's no project sanction or anything. It's just design work that goes on in design bureaus. Unsing, is Uttam Mesa fully digital radar? Yes, fully digital. Plasmodium vivax, again, I see huge armored vehicle demand in the African countries and Latin America. Indian companies and embassies must work actively to enter those markets. They've already entered these markets. I think you've seen Tassel release some pictures also, what they're supplying and stuff like that. Mahindra has entered the market also. Rishabh Gupta, Brazil has grounded the Gripens. Why? Assad. C. Karan Rathod, how hard is it to select a 4 plus gen fighter from two options which I have? Not hard at all. The reality is that the Rafale May is the only thing that really makes sense right now. But if you tell the French that, then they are going to ask you for an arm and a leg. See, that's the whole point. The French have to give us what we want. It's just, this is not like a Dharamshala after all. Kumar Sunit, has a cannon been integrated onto the Tejas Mark 1? Well, HAL release did say that. HAL did say that. During the FOC release, it did say that. Vikas P, do we need to develop half tracks for mountains? No. In Nagarajan Amir Khan, okay, that's your favorite actor, okay. Ashutosh Pathak, so what's the status regarding Predator purchase? Nothing, it's not going through. It'll be a while before anything like this happens because now it doesn't make sense, boss. The Rustam, the Tapas BH201 now has basically, it's out of the stovepipe and into the stovepipe and into the light. You see, I'll tell you one thing. Forget what is written, what you see on a Wikipedia page or on a brochure. Nothing really flies for 24 hours, okay, and at 30,000 feet. But the Rustam 2 or the Tapas BH201 has actually shown continuous flight at 28,800 feet and for 18 hours, which is quite commendable. In terms of operational capabilities, it's actually doing better than some of the imported drones you keep hearing about, which don't perform according to their brochure specs. Okay. Then the thing, Ashutosh, of course, now you'll say that the MQ-9 Reaper is, of course, a bigger drone, hail, and can fly much faster and all that. Yes, but for the ISR role, neither is there more survival than the other. And as far as using them in a sort of attack role, they don't make sense. And not against the Chinese. Shaboni Adhikari is asking, what is the status of the NUH? Will Navy order it? You mean the Dhruv? Because of the developments that happened in terms of main rotor blade and all that. See what happens. Devajyoti Datta, I saw Namaskar. There was a news that DRDO AIP would be installed in Kilo class sub and tested. What happened to that? What will it be tested on? The Kilo class which was just recently retired. Let's see. Sai Venkat Reddy, isn't it good for IN to go for more Calvary class subs with AIP than going for a new program, thereby delaying new induction, wasting MDL's capability? IN has its own thinking on this. IN wants something else also from a newer supplier. The general studies, what is the status of I-Star aircraft? This is one joint Indo-US program which will take off, by the way. Does India have the technology required for building that? It's a joint program with America. What are the features of I-Star aircraft? Same as J-Star. Basically like J-Star only. And better than the Sentinel. Jeffrey Royan, do we have any idea what will replace the role of the current missile boats? Will we see a UVLS for the BrahMos Nirbhay, and how many missiles per ship and ships can we expect to be inducted? Well, you will see 6 next generation missile vessels with this kind of a UVLS. That is part of the IM's projections anyway. Kumar Mangalam Lambodia, do you think France is out of P-75I? Well, at the moment it seems like that. Yosop 1, Saurav, what were the companies that are working on bipedal robots with DRDO? Can't answer this, we'll take this offline. Copsys GX, recent times it's been seen that the amount of NOTAMs issued and the amount of tests acknowledged by DRDO is quite less than earlier. Any strategic tests you can shed a light on that have happened? I won't, even if they have happened. Fusion Fame, in 2030 if we'll do preemptive strike on Parkland, Destroy all their fighters and radar posts with hypersonic weapons, and Pak will have no other option but to go for nuclear. Can see? This is we can destroy most of their air force even now, and all of their navy. But the thing is, the threshold will get crossed unless and until you can launch a simultaneous decapitating strike and also a render safe strike. These options, these have been considered, but this is the main option. The threshold is low, and I have no doubt that they will go nuclear if they see them being completely wasted, if they see that they are being completely wasted. So this is a question. First of all, we have to, any plan, any decisive war against Pakistan will have to be a war in which we decisively neutralize their nuclear capability. Otherwise, there is no point. मैं तो मैं हूँ. Can Tejas Mark 1 fire Astra 2 and 3? Yes, it will be able to. Once the software update is given. Shavani Adhikari, Indian SSN update, no update at the moment. Yosop 1, can the IF get rid of that silly fin flash that looks like an Irish flag and replace with Indian flag like the rest of the country? Well, there's a lot of history with that fin flash that you are calling, and the roundels and all. So the IF likes to stick to traditions. Abhijit Sharma, the Navy still has the George Cross on it. Abhijit Sharma, what do you think about Reliance purchase of Faraday? Let's see what comes of it. This is too early for me to say anything. Agam Chadda, can you please have an IH where you have a discussion with Abhijit Iyer Mitra? Also, is there an MOD program to have a standardized arms between services? IH is to basically answer your questions about indigenization appreciation art. It's not really a podcast. And, anyway. Devajyoti Dotto. Do we have a counter to the SH-15 truck-mounted artillery acquired by Pak from Chile? Not counter as in something equivalent, no. Not at the moment that is inducted. But we have many which have been developed and can be inducted. That is possible. There's a lot of truck-mounted, how it says, what are called mounted gun systems that have been developed by various companies in India. OFB has one, the Swell OFB, now AWEIL. Tata has one. Bharat Forge has examples. You can always induct something. And SH-15, by the way, the reports are not very good from Pakistan's, the service, from Pakistani service. A. Nagarajan, noob question. Do we have a spy ship similar to Chinese that is currently on its way to SL? Yes, we do. We do actually. I think you know the name also. Yosef 1. You think that bioweapons are the next super weapons after nukes because they can cause far more collateral damage? They're much cheaper. Way cheaper. They're super weapons in the sense that they can cause huge disruption. Rishabh Gupta, does whole Himalayan range and Air Force base on high altitude regions affect the engine performance jets, especially in case of Russian Chinese engines? Yeah, not just Russian Chinese, any engine. So performance degrades by 33% as a baseline. Okay. In fact, more as you go up to 15,000 feet, as the Tibetan, in the case of the Tibetan plateau, performance degrades by more than that. Because should any Indian company buy Denel? Do they have great technology? Well, that was the plan at one time to basically do a lot of things with Denel, but then that fell prey to some the Denel scam controversy and all that. So these are the things that keep happening. Divyanshu, okay, Shivam Narayan asks, hi Saurav, any real development on SSN? Work is underway. So probably it's sanctioned. It will be basically an Indian design. Divyanshu Singh, India's AEWC will be a wedge tail or on the round one. It will be the next Netra Mark 2 will be similar. It will be like a wedge tail only, not a flying disc or chapati or whatever you want to, pancake or whatever you want to call that. That is AVAX. The AVAX India project is going to be like that. See, the number of AVAX is going to be more than what you are thinking, what you think is the number right now. Is DRDO Netra AVAX better than the Sweden AVAX that Pakistan has? Yes. Even the Netra Mark 1 is better. Divajyoti Doctor, if IN is so particular about an AIP which is proven, although none exists at the moment in the market, why not go for DRDO AIP? So they're going for DRDO AIP only. The Scorpions will get the DRDO AIP, the PAFC based AIP. Do you see Plasmodium Vivax? Do you see any chance for Indian vehicle makers to enter Russian market since German companies are limiting production there? A lot of things will enter the Russian market. See, both Germans and Russians, the ones I've talked to over the years, like big cars basically. They like big cars, okay? So we also make big cars now. I'm sure we'll be able to enter with some markets. I think Mahindra Scorpio already you'll find some of them, not in East European markets, versions of the Mahindra Scorpio. Okay, the general studies is asking, what is the status of Nirbhay GLCM, ALCM and SLCM variants? Can we expect an article in DRDO based on this and Manik engine? Okay. SLCM is not a variant of the Nirbhay. It is a different cruise missile. It is progressing well. Nirbhay ALCM work is underway. I think they'll go into testing at some point. Nirbhay GLCM, I think there was a limited induction with the Russian turbojet engine probably. And that is probably what you read in the Hindustan Times article. KK, Manik, that's part of the ITCM program basically. Okay. KK, is INS Vishal on paper yet? It's on paper. What do you think about it? Should it come in real world? Can we afford it in the real world right now? We should settle for 2 more smaller carriers for the time being. Saptashi Chandra, Dada, anything new on LACM, ITCM? ITCM project is going on. It's a demonstrator project, by the way, ITCM. To show basically demonstrate the viability of the Manik engine on Nirbhay and something else also. And LACM is an actual project to create a shipborne version of the Nirbhay basically, and that is progressive. Okay, Vedang, no discussions with Mitra, please. Let him stick to food reviews. Abhijit Sharma, it has become clear that air power can be a decisive deterrent to much bigger powers. Has it been proved? What you're seeing is that, what is a more decisive deterrent is if you have a lot of, or rather something that is really useful in war is you have a lot of ground launch accurate ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. And you can basically take out the nearby air bases if they are not hardened properly and there's no proper dispersal and all that. Why can't the government show some clarity and go full steam with mass ordering of LCA and Mark II MVs? It has to. Let it first sanction funds for Tejas Mark II. But you're right. See, air power alongside what I mentioned will be decisive. So they are enablers of each other now, but both have to be there. Sai Venkat Reddy, Agam Chanda, IH with a guy who batted for Gripen over Tejas. I would welcome a cuisine hour with him. Okay. UI, if we hit a nuclear missile, can a weapon trigger itself and blast in air or not? If we hit a nuclear missile. No, you see, I'll tell you one thing. It depends on the fusing. The fusing, you may be able to intercept a nuclear missile before the warhead it's carrying, or the re-entry vehicle before the fusing has happened. So then you will get this pulverized, radioactive sort of mass that will fall to Earth, which in itself will be a hazard. Okay, so that is what can happen. You can do it. Depends on where you take care of it. Fusing usually, if it has been basically programmed for airburst, depends on the yield and the trajectory it follows on. Based on that, they will decide an altitude. And typically, warhead will come with a radio altimeter switch, and that will be used for the to trigger the fusing. But it can be done. It will happen actually. That is the idea. Maverick, should we focus on submarines or aircraft carriers? Submarines more at the moment. I'm not against the concept of an aircraft carrier. Let's be very clear. But I think we need to really increase the size of our submarine fleet. I'll tell you why. ASW is a very big problem in the Indian Ocean region. We are the ones who've done the maximum amount of research work, hydrographic and otherwise, even more than the Americans, which is why our sonars are better also than what are. I don't think Chinese sonars are that capable. So obviously, we should focus on submarines. They're going to prove a major deterrent to foreign navies in the Indian Ocean region. And you need nuclear submarines if you want to keep overwatch on all those choke points. Even AIP equipped diesel electric submarines will not cut it. Okay, next question. Vedant, your opinion on how Ukraine managed to hit a Russian base in Crimea? I don't think it was done with loitering attack munitions. Just look at the distance. See, the Ukrainians also have these If they manage to get a few 8 accounts from somewhere, that would be funny. I'll have to see that. But they also have their own Sapsan, I think. They also have their own ballistic missiles called surface-to-surface ballistic missiles. They also have old Tochkas and all that they try to upgrade and things like that. So they may have upgraded the Sapsans may have hit. I don't know. I'll have to see more. What exactly all was used. But there were three major explosions from what I could tell from some of the videos, and those looked like pretty very large warheads. Kenil Mehta, do we have a plan to replace Cheetah and Chetak with LUH and LCH, or it's on the back burner due to MRFA? No, these will replace the Cheetah and Chetak will be replaced by the LUH, but the orders will be placed only 2 years later. Arjun Kapoor asks, hi, Admiral General Air Marshal Praveen Swami has interesting thoughts on Indian capabilities. I think you mean Praveen Sohani, right? His loyalties to the country are not clear. Do you feel the same way about a certain speaker, Halwai? What do you think? Should we get Field Marshal Schwanstein and Halwai to talk to each other on IH? Is that what you guys want? Then IH will be, ये क्या हुआ? IH में ही परिवर्तन. One will say चलो ग्रिपेन खरीदते हैं. One will say China cognitive AI करके हमको 5 दिन में खत्म कर देगा. Another will say नहीं F-35 चाहिए. अरे, at this rate, you guys will basically say that IH should start a program called, Dinner with Dalals, okay? Where we ask Dalals. So, Mr. Dalal, what do you think? Do you think India has done the right thing by spending any money on the Tejas program? Or do you think we should have gone a different way altogether? Right? And then the Dalal will say, I am misunderstood. The Dalal, by the way, all Dalals go around saying that they're the greatest patriots on earth. They have been misunderstood. What they really want when they support imports is they want the best for the country, basically. So each Dalal has his own big narrative. Next question. Ramzil Pinto. Do you think MF Star radar mount has changed on Vikrant? Recent pics don't look same as of Kolkata class domes. Do you think MF Star radar mount has changed on? Okay, let more come out about this. And by the way, we are developing an MF Star equivalent. So future of PSCs will not have the MF Star anyway. We'll have our own indigenous radar. Deepli Mukherjee. Dalals are trying hard for F-35. Yes. According to them, backdoor discussion also going on. Yes, between Dalals. Between Dalals, backdoor discussion is going on. What's your opinion? This type of news kind of demotivating. ATAC's production already started. It's true. ATAC's 150 units will be ordered, I told you. And this kind of demotivating, don't get demotivated. We are in the 75th year of our independence. It's not the time to get demotivated or anything. Indigenization will happen. Nobody can stop. In my first book, The Upside Down Book of Nuclear Power, I quote APJ Abdul Kalam when he was asked that, what happens if India has to test in the future? Will the nuclear deal circumscribe us? He said, nothing can stop, nothing can stop. I'll also say this, indigenization, nothing can stop, nothing can stop. We've already won most of the battle. The situation is not the same as it was in 2015 or 16 or earlier, obviously. The situation has changed quite a bit now. So Dalals are not going to find it easy. And they are not, it's not easy for them to take on DDR either. Obviously, your support has played a huge role in that. And so keep supporting, don't be demoralized. And Dalals can have whatever discussions they want behind doors. F-35, B-21, anything can be proposed, okay? But it's not going to be the case. Dhruv Daman Singh, why are we not inducting indigenous technology in large numbers? This is exactly why IH is there, to make the case for it and ensure that it happens. Even headline imports like MRFA are delayed when probability of major war is increased manifold in the last 3 years. So we need to focus on our magazine, as it were. And munitions work is more important at the moment. Okay, Devojyoti Datta, I was referring to the P75I project. IN is hell-bent on the proven AIP clause. They are not wrong if they want an AIP on the P75I. See, the next flight P76 will definitely have our own AIP. They want capability, basically. So they want something which is proven. I think if you go by this, then the PEFC on the type 12, 212, 214, that becomes more of a front runner then. Let's see what happens. But they can't delay forever, and they have to go full on P76 from this moment, which I think they've already begun initial work. Shivam Narayan, any initiative from DDRU on economy in this era of war, Rus, China, Tango, and India's place in the world order? Initiatives, I've written this book, Negotiating the New Normal, that is precisely to answer this sort of question. See what comes of it, read it. If you think that the hardback is too expensive, buy the Kindle and read it. Pool together and read it. Stuff like that. Devmallo Das. Okay, A. Nagarajan. Agni 6, anything interesting? You'll see something by and by. There was a DRDO newsletter in Avinash Chandra's time which explicitly mentioned the Agni 6. So let's keep it there. Devmallo Das. Will the AMCA Mark II have a similar bulged out IST like the Mark I, or will it have an ESTS? I think I've answered this earlier. Plus, don't go by only what you saw in the latest so-called wind tunnel model. Plus, will the AMC have a new ultra-wideband radar? It'll have a follow-on to the Uttam Mesa. The Mark II may have something even more advanced. But yes, this is being worked upon, by the way, ultra-wideband radar. KK, how hardened are Indian air bases close to China border? Similarly, how hardened are Chinese bases? Chinese bases were not hardened at all, okay? They were completely vulnerable to a strike by BrahMos. But now they have been hardened. They have been hardened more and more every day. They've tunneled in Lhasa Gongar. They've built a lot of hardened aircraft shelters in Gargunsa also they are tunneling, and so on and so forth. And we are building these next generation hard aircraft shelters, but we need to do more. We need to move quicker. And see, base defense is a lot of things now. Hardened aircraft shelters, more apron area. In an X, maybe a couple of runways, more than one runway in an X kind of formation, right? So that the enemy has to scatter its targeting further. If it has to put both runways out of commission, then rehabilitation capabilities, quick drying concrete, aluminium sheets that can be placed over craters. Mobile ATC kept inside and then deeply buried, command and control centers. And many things are required, and that is boosting the cost of air power even more. See, there's no point having a $200 million jet that will either just sit at the base or it'll just get taken out by a SRBM strike. These are concerns. Okay. But we are also hardening our bases, but we need to move faster. Hashimara, Chabua, all these places need to be hardened even faster than they are being done at the moment. Debni Mukherjee, Tejas Mark II roll out by 15 hours. I've already gone into this question 100 times. It's already 8:54. I'm over let me just circle back and see what questions there are. Right. Okay, so Pranav had a bunch of questions, so let me try and answer them. Why are we not going for an indigenous convention sub at this point with all the nonsense 75? I answered, they're still not confident, right? So I answered this. What's your opinion on the blatant lobbying against AMCA by the usual subsidies post waiver? Personally, finding insulting to my intelligence. You're quite right. It's a usual dalal game to basically curtail our own programs. Pranav, in hindsight, we should have gone for a joint development JV with Koreans for case of no need. We don't need to. They're not really ahead of us or anything. We don't need them really. So, okay, Pranav had another question. Pre-ordered book. Thank you for that. Now, let me come down to these. The general studies. What is the status of BMD program? Phase 1 is complete. It should be rolled out. 2 spots were identified for over the horizon radars. Let's not go into details. Surya Shodhi, what's happening on the semiconductor front? You're getting news, trickling news every now and then. But I think something major will happen with Taiwan. EONI protocol, I'm hopeful on Tejas Mark II and AMCA. How much late the funding from government can still complete the project on time? No, but it has to be done quicker. Why don't we develop RX-9 like missile to take out our most wanted terrorist? We don't need RX-9, we just need the will. Aditya KM, your opinion on Iron's minesweeping capabilities? We are using other platforms right now with add-on jugaad kind of situation. We need to move very quickly on what you're saying. MCMVs with single, non-stiffened single skins basically, and we also have to transition towards AUVs and USVs. Those are under development at the moment. Okay, Protocol, any update on cats? I've already said it earlier. When it comes, I think HVT himself will say something at some point. Jay Sharma, dolls are trying very hard to criticize LCA teachers. Of course they are. That's the whole point. Okay, Meghal Kumar, please comment on the status of the 17 Mountain Strike Code and Mathura based Strike Code. That is one strike that are now deployed against Communist China. How brutal and competent are they? What are the problems, if any? Listen, the Indian Army is a competent outfit, okay? And the Mountain Strike Codes are shaping up well. They're being taken seriously now. They're being IBGized. But they need more equipment, they need more tests, they need more exercise areas and things like that. Those are being worked upon. Inquisitors of India, any updates on refueling tankers? Do we have enough? No. We need 18 according to earlier projections. I think we'll need even more subsequently. So you will see that whole thing with the Israelis that will come to pass. Old frames will be taken. I think you might see 4 ones being inducted, maybe 4 or some other number. But we need to go up to 18 quickly. Copsis GX, dinner with Dalal. Not that we wanted, but what we needed. That's funny, isn't it? Arnab Basu, could you please throw some light on the current status of the Indian rocket force? It is being worked upon. It's, I think, still 3 years away. Okay, I answered Meghal Sharma's question. Right. And, okay, Kumar Mangalam Lamboria, how many days do you think an India-Pakistan war over POK will last? POK. To capture large parts of POK is not, but slices, Pakistan can be taught a good lesson in 10 days, okay? 10 days. That's all it takes. But you have to be careful to stay under the nuclear threshold. That is the real challenge. And if you want to go for an all-out war, then you better plan to take out nukes, because then you're definitely going to end up with a nuclear exchange kind of scenario. So let's be clear about these things. Pranav, Saurav, shouldn't initial stage ballistic missile interception be possible with Pak due to long proximity? Actually, Pakistan's older generation missiles are now obsolete. Our BMD can take them on in a many versus many scenario also. That is the reality. Okay, Ransil Pinto, is there any update on OTHB and OTHSW radars from them? Even if there are, let's not go into this. Rishabh artillery power, I think artillery is, yeah, Stalin had said that artillery is the god of war. It's still more or less true. Agam Chadha, we've answered this. Okay, I've answered all of these questions. Okay, I'll take one last question for Arjun Kapoor. Do you like Yes Minister? How many Humphreys do we have? Are all of them Humphreys? The Yes Minister is a classic show. But I'll tell you one thing from the Yes Minister series. In India, in Yes Minister, there is that whole thing about how the driver of one minister has talked to the driver of the other minister, and that's how news is getting around. In India, that is 10x true, okay? That is true by a factor of 10x because of the way India is. Okay, because Nayak, will India make or buy tank and upgrade, upgrade the T90? T90 will be upgraded and use it till 2040, yes. Okay, enough for this edition of the, indigenization appreciation. I'm sorry I can't entertain your request to bring dalals here and ask them, very sentimental questions. So that is not going to happen. Indigenization appreciation hour is going to stay dedicated to wholly and wholeheartedly to the cause of indigenization only, nothing else. Okay, so that is the whole point. And stay tuned, we are going to do more of these. If you can, please patronize my new book, or if you choose not to, then at least promote it here and there, share it on social media, tell others who you think will tell others about it who you think will find it useful, and so on and so forth. Right? So I'm signing off now, and since we are going to have Independence Day in a couple of days, Jai Hind. Just stay motivated, stay patriotic. Obviously, I don't need to say that to you guys. And don't let your chin drop, and counter dalals wherever you find them with facts and logic. Okay, bye. Jai Hind.